If you have a $1,500 mortgage and the tenant is paying you $2,000, you're making what? $500 a month, right? And sometimes you look at that might not seem like a lot of money, but if you duplicate that over several properties and you look at the appreciation and the mortgage pay down on those properties, it can explode. One way to build wealth through real estate is cash flow. Cash flow is when you have a tenant in a property and the tenant is paying a certain amount on that property. So for instance, you might have a mortgage on that property and the mortgage might be $1,500, right? And you'll have a tenant in the property and the tenant will be paying you, let's just say $2,000 a month. So the difference between what the tenant is paying you and what your mortgage is the cash flow on that property. So in that scenario, if you have a $1,500 mortgage and the tenant is paying you $2,000, you're making what? $500 a month, right? And sometimes you look at that might not seem like a lot of money, but if you duplicate that over several properties and you look at the appreciation and the mortgage pay down on those properties, it can explode. It's an amazing experience, right? Number two, another way that you can build wealth through real estate is by mortgage pay down. Just like I was mentioning, when you have a tenant in that property, the tenant is paying down your mortgage as well. So let's just say, for instance, if you have a mortgage on there, and we'll just use basic numbers. If you owe $100,000 on the mortgage, every month that tenant is renting from you, that money you're taking from that tenant, you're taking that and you're paying on your mortgage, and you are keeping the difference between the $1,500 and the $2,000. So over a period of time, over that first year, if we're just looking at this scenario here, and you're taking and you're paying $1,500 towards your mortgage company, towards your mortgage every single month, that mortgage is being paid down. That $100,000 in that first year is going to be less than $100,000. It's going to be paid down probably at least, maybe about $5,000-$6,000 because you do have some interest, right? But nevertheless, the longer you go on with that mortgage is being paid down over time, right? So the tenant is paying for your mortgage. Tenant is paying your mortgage debt down and your cash flowing. Because remember, we said your mortgage is $1,500 and the tenant is paying $2,000. So the mortgage pay down is powerful, right? Next up, equity capture. So equity capture is the difference between your mortgage balance and what the house is worth. The mortgage balance and what the house is worth. So using this scenario, keep it simple. If you owed $100,000 on the house, remember too, the tenant is paying down your mortgage. So every year that $100,000 is getting lower and lower. So maybe on the first year, you owe $95,000 after the pay down. Maybe on the second year, you owe about $90,000 on the pay down. On the third year, it's going to get more aggressive. You might owe about $80,000, close to $80,000 on that. So over that 3-year period, you've paid down, well, actually the tenant has paid down your mortgage by $20,000. So now you only owe $80,000 on that mortgage, on that property. And then the property is just appreciating over time. First of all, you're getting the equity capture just from that difference right there. So $100,000 and $80,000 from what the tenant paid down, you're getting that equity capture right there. But when you factor in what the property is worth, what the property has appreciated to over time, let's just say within that 3 years, the property appreciated to $20,000. Just use simple numbers, $120,000. Now you only owe 80 and it's worth 120. So that gives you an equity capture of how much? $40,000. That's powerful, right? That's powerful. You gain equity and you've gained access to cash without really doing anything other than just putting a paying tenant in the property. So that is so powerful. Thanks for tuning in, Wealth Builders. I'll be dropping new content every week, so make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell. I'll see you on the next one.